Hi, my name is Darren Smith, and welcome to Flip On Prior Knowledge with Flipgrid, part of the Elementary Academic Technology Spring Summit for Northside. Again, my name is Darren Smith. My Twitter handle is there at TechCoach Smith, and Francisco Alderete has helped me as well with manning the chat for this and the synchronous session, and his Twitter handle is there as well. Part of the academic technology coach's vision is we support the growth of educators through job embedded coaching and the delivery of high quality tier one instruction to help all students succeed. This is part of the Northside mission and vision to transform the learning experience for students. And the vision is every day, every student grows in confidence, curiosity, and capability. The objectives for today are to investigate activating prior knowledge and to examine visual thinking routines, take a tour of Flipgrid, and model a unit inventory using Flipgrid. So the first thing that I would like you to do is think of 3 words that would describe the 90s television show Friends. Um, just think about what those 3 words are, okay? Since this is the async session, we're not gonna write them down in the chat, but, just think about it, and what I want you to think about here is just the fact that all of us come with a different knowledge base of even something like a television show, Friends, right? Um, some of us, you know, were around before Friends and maybe didn't really watch Friends. There's a group of us who, that was the television show when we were um, in our prime and when we were working um, through high school and college. And then there's some that may have just watched the reruns to it because they were born later. So we all kind of come, we all have a different experience with Friends, the television show. So prior knowledge is what the students bring with them that they have gained from previous schooling and their life experiences. Part of our job too is to get them those life experiences, right? Um, I think about that, especially in Title One campuses, just giving them as many of those life experiences as they can so that they have some prior knowledge to build on. So um, here's kind of a silly example of a student activating prior knowledge. This just shows you that, you know, um, that it just shows you sometimes where students are in their thinking. Um, and I just like this example because even though it's silly, it still has some some good background knowledge to it. It's so why should we activate prior knowledge? It's a way to pre-assess. It previews upcoming learning. Students make connections to new material, and it has a Hattie effect size of 0.93. So I don't know if any of you have seen this graphic before, but basically, um, Hattie is a researcher who has done many um, field reports, and he has come up with this huge list of different things that teachers do in their classroom, and he gave an effect size of it, right? He basically gave it a rating saying that um, that if you do this, this is about the amount of student growth that a student can have throughout the year. So the Hattie's effect size of 0.93, that means that that student is almost getting 2 years worth of growth, if that's something that they're doing is activating prior knowledge. So here's this long list of different things that teachers do and that Hattie has kind of placed. And the effect size for activating prior knowledge is way up here. And this is actually a link that we can go out to and take a look at. And you can see here, number one is collective teacher efficacy. Right here, though, strategy to integrate with prior knowledge, that's number 10, okay, out of all of these different things that teachers can do. Um, and I think that's pretty powerful to take a look at that graphic. Just the amount of research that Hattie did to come up with these effect sizes is pretty astounding. So, um, all right, so let's take a look at what activating prior knowledge is. So when we activate and build students' background knowledge, students see the connection between previous and current learning. We establish a set of conceptual hooks on which students can hang new learning. And I really like that statement because, it kind of helps give you a visual of these conceptual hooks. That's the prior knowledge, and in their new learning that they do, they can start to create those hooks. So this graphic off to the side, you see the environment there, and here's this person like paying attention to the environment. That environment, that is our prior knowledge. That's all of the things that we've kind of brought in. Now, if you look to get that into long-term memory, there need or into the long-term and the working memory, we need to be learning and remembering these things. And all of those little dots that you see, I kind of think of those as the hooks that students can kind of hang that new learning on. Students get on the same page with us as well when we have those similar experiences. And then we receive formative assessment data we can use throughout the learning experience. And I'm going to try to kind of model this for you in a little bit when we get into the unit inventories. But I wanted you to just kind of have an understanding before we get into the unit inventory of what what is activating prior knowledge and how can we do that. So some of the strategies to activate prior knowledge, the classic, the KWL chart, what I know, what I wonder, what I learned. I'm sure a lot of you have used this in the past, or maybe even a teacher of yours has used this in the past to kind of get you to activate that prior knowledge. A lot of what we do today has to do with something called visible thinking routines. And I don't know if you remember about 5 years ago, the district had made a big push um, about thinking routines and making thinking visible. And so you may have gotten some of the resources if you were around during that time that had to do with that. So a big one that kind of resonated with me was the See, Think, Wonder, which we're going to be demonstrating in a little bit. Another example could be I used to think, but now I think. This is another way that we could activate prior knowledge. And then also a think, puzzle, explore thinking routine. And I want you to take a look at those. So, See, Think, Wonder. In the See, Think, Wonder, I've downloaded a PDF here that you can a link to a PDF here that you can use. Um, and this is something that, just a graphic for them to be able to see while they're doing something like this would be excellent. When we're using this in Flipgrid, I've actually kind of given you a link to this PDF as well, so that you will be able to have the PDF right there in front of you. So um, in the See Think Wonder, the way that the teacher is going to do that is they're going to ask the student to explain, either in a picture. A lot of times I use this for a picture, um, or even an informational graphic or something, or sometimes even for like an experiment or something that you've set up in the classroom. So that you're going to ask, what do you see? What do you think is going on? And what does it make you wonder? And I like to have, if when we're doing this in Flipgrid, I'm going to have you actually say, I see, and then tell me what you see. I think, and I wonder. So you're gonna say those sentence stems when we model the unit inventory here in a little bit. So another really good thinking routine is the Think Puzzle Explore. Some of you may have used this in the past. Um, it's, what do you think you know? What questions or puzzles do you have? And how might you explore the puzzles? I really like this one as well. Depending on the grade level, this might be something that you could give the upper grades, um, like third, fourth, fifth, maybe. And I really like using the See Think Wonder for the younger grades, K through 2. So, but it, either one of these can work for any grade level, really. So I got these from a site called Thinking Pathways, and I put a link here to it, and you can see these really are the ones that focus on routines for introducing and exploring ideas. And what I really liked about this is you can come out here, and another really, really good thinking routine for activating prior knowledge is the 3-2-1 bridge. So you can find these PDFs here and just a little bit more about each one of these as well. Um, and let's take a look here at the 3-2-1 bridge. So the 3-2-1, the initial response, and then you're going to do some learning, and then you'll have a new response. So activating prior knowledge is this part in the initial response. You're going to give 3 words about the topic. You're going to give me 2 questions that you have, and then you're going to have 1 metaphor or simile. And like I said, you'll do that before a learning activity. You could do this at the beginning of a unit, maybe, and then you would have the new response at the end of the unit, or just within a time frame of some explorational learning that students are doing. So what I want you to do right now is I would like for you to either get out a phone or click here on this link, or put in this bit.ly into a new web page, and I would like you to go out to this Padlet and answer this first Padlet. It says, have you ever or have you used thinking routines in your classroom? So in order to record your response, you're just going to click this plus, and just type away whatever you think. So let's go back in here to our slide. And next thing we're going to talk about here is a unit inventory. Unit inventories are typically done at the beginning of the unit. It's a way to preview vocabulary. it generates authentic student language. Is I really, really like that about that, and I'll explain that in a little bit. It can be used in any subject. I know that typically we use it in science and social studies, but this is something that can be used really at the beginning of any unit of study. Um, and then you you should really, in a unit inventory, you should be using some sort of a word wall, which I'm going to share with you in a little bit. I'll share with you a virtual word wall that I've created, sort of. So I'm going to go out to this NISD science link where this just kind of explains a unit inventory. It's typically an introduction to a science and or social studies unit, and it produces students. Now, the original one was typically done with materials, like you would get the different science tools out, um, and I still really, really like that, and I still think that there's really, this is really a very important part of um, the science unit is getting the tools in the students' hands right away so that they have some kind of hook to it. And that's going to give them, you're also giving them um, some prior knowledge too. You're just not just activating it, but you're kind of letting them become more familiar with it so that when you do get to start using some of these tools, they'll be like, oh, I've never seen that before. But now they have seen that. So, um, and it allows teachers to assess the prior knowledge of students as they discuss vocabulary, ask questions, express I wonder statements, and make connections. And the purpose is to develop oral academic language. Okay. These are some of the hooks that is going to allow us to hang some of those big vocabulary words onto. So, um, now the district has created some PowerPoints, especially in social studies. I know that there's some PowerPoints that have different images of the upcoming unit. And what I've found is that sometimes teachers don't really see the connection between what they're seeing and where they think that the students need to go. So I challenge you to try to maybe come up with your own, and it's fairly simple to do. I'm going to come in here to the curriculum, and we're taking a look at interactions and environments um, for the fifth grade unit. Um, the way that I typically do this is I look at the specific teaks and I look for the highlighted vocabulary that you find within those teaks. And I will just go to a slide, grab a blank slide, and um, what you can do is just come in here to Insert, go to Image, and I just go search the web, and we can type in specific images. And notice how this says Google Images, only select images that you have confirmed that you have the license to use. One of the things I like about searching it within here is that we're going to be able to use these put straight into our presentation here. So one of the words there was fossils. So I'm just going to type in fossils. And I can go through and see what kinds of fossils. Now, a lot of times when teachers think of, or when students think of fossils, they think of these like dinosaurs and stuff. But they, in fifth grade, um, I feel like a lot of times there's a misconception of that's all what, fossils are dinosaurs and dinosaurs are fossils. So I like to bring in an image kind of similar to this, where The students might not know exactly what this is. Um, and this kind of can give them this is something that could generate some thought in an I think, I wonder. And I always relate back to those teaks. Um, Another thing here, you might really want to um, just make sure that you're being very purposeful in the images that you are sharing with the students. Think of what where you want them to go and what you want them to learn, and that's why you really need to think back to those teaks there as well. So, this is an example of one that I've created, and I usually just pick anywhere from 8 to 10 images, and this is one that I have created for the unit inventory for fifth grade life science. And these are some of the images that you will be doing a Flipgrid on here in a little bit. So, all right. So, talking about the word wall, and this is an example of a virtual life science word wall. It's not totally complete. I might be adding a few more things here, um, but I wanted to kind of show you around the structure of the unit inventory. You might want to have some kind of um, have it somewhat organized like this. So I've got unit vocabulary here, and a lot of times this is the bulk of the vocabulary that you're trying to come up with. But there's other things that you can add into there, like physical properties you see up here. Okay, um, science process skills, things like classify, investigate, compare, question. These are all things that scientists do in um, when they're studying life science. So if I go, I put some little links here too. My word wall was not typically virtual. I oftentimes I did have some virtual word walls that I would use every now and then, but um, I typically had these up on a whiteboard with magnets on it that I could kind of pull over whenever I needed to. So I had both these science process skills as well as these power words. And what these power words are, these are the words that students come up and ask you in the middle of a CDB that have nothing to do with the curriculum and everything to do with just good academic language. So if I click here on power words, um, these are some examples of words that I have actually kind of kept up with for fifth grade science, especially, where it talks about it says use these power words when you are writing in your science notebooks and highlight them so that your teacher can see. As you take CDBs and unit tests, add to this list. This is a list that is meant for students to even add on to. Um, so what I did is in the STAR test, I would highlight words that are words in the release STAR test. I literally like printed it out and I highlighted the words that students I knew would have difficulties with. Words like retain or words like increase or decrease, characteristic. These words oftentimes are not specifically related to unit vocabulary, but it's just for good academic language. And a lot of times it's the title students that struggle with these types of words, and the students that don't have a lot of background knowledge and just don't use these words as often. So I wanted to another thing that you can do here with all of this is you could upload different images. You could bring out links to videos. You could even insert a video right there. Um, and then my goal too is that with this, when you create your Flipgrid video, you can actually attach part of that video to some of these words so that students can kind of figure out where those hooks are that their new knowledge can hang. Those hooks are from what they first experienced when they see some of these images during the unit inventory. So, what is your experience with unit inventories? You're going to go ahead and go again out to the Padlet, and I would like you to now answer this question by clicking on this plus and go ahead and answer the question. All right, let's go back in to the presentation, and here we are with Flipgrid. Why Flipgrid? It makes thinking visible, gives students voice. It's easy to share, and you get to hear all of your students. There are so many times when we ask a question in front of the class, and you've got all these hands that are raised, but you don't get a call on all of those. And sometimes it's the loudest person in the room that gets to answer it because they just blurt it out, or but this really, really allows for you to hear every single student. And that's one of my favorite things about really educational technology in general, but especially with Flipgrid. So let's take a tour of Flipgrid. We're going to be looking at creating a topic, kind of getting an understanding of the difference between groups versus topics. And then I'm going to kind of demonstrate for you how to record a response as well. And if you want to, you're welcome to open up Flipgrid and kind of follow along with me as I am going through this tour. Let me get logged in here really quick. So this is what the educator's dashboard looks like. When you look up at the top, you see discussion, discovery, activity, mixtape, and shorts. I'm going to mainly focus today just on discussion. I don't want to go too far in depth with all of them, but I want to focus here on discussion and kind of how to create a topic. So we've got here two different tabs. Here's groups, and I actually created a group. A fifth grade teacher from Wernley, Mrs. Segovia, was very, very kind and let me come in and try this unit inventory out in her classroom. And I'm glad because I learned a lot from that. And then right here is topics. So the topics, you can assign groups topics, and topics are just basically they're the activities, and then groups are basically like your classes. The way that Flipgrid used to be, there used to be grids and things like that, and things that they've kind of changed it to change some of the language that they use around how they kind of organize Flipgrid now. So if I wanted to create a topic, I could come over here to this blue button, click Create Topic, and this is kind of the template for how you can create a topic. Put your title, give your directions, and what I like is, and you'll see this when we do the unit inventory, is that you can link videos and templates here for students to be able to refer to and so that they have an understanding of how to do it. So you can add all kinds of different media as well. And this is a very important part, is are the permissions. Um, when you add your students, what I like about this is you can give access to your topic by adding a specific email address or creating usernames. Now, when you go into this, you can enter just the domain itself. So we can just put in here at nisd.net, um, at, whoops, at students.nisd.net. And anyone with that domain then is going to be able to have access to this. Um, you can also come up with an optional guest password so that families or guests could join the Flipgrid. Um, and then here are just some of the essentials. A big one here is recording time. I really feel like you need to give them some kind of criteria for this. I've had some students, they'll go, they'll make really short videos, and then others are just very long-winded, and they could go for a whole 10 minutes if you allowed them to. So it's nice to have some criteria here for how long that they can make their videos. And then this just is the commenting. Um, how much you want to allow them to comment. They can make video comments, they can make text comments. You could make them just do video comments only. So there's lots of different ways that you can kind of change that as well. There is also a more options here, and you can actually attach some different documents, images, docs, whatever you want to here that students can have access to, so that they can maybe put it into their video then. You can also schedule dates for these to become active. Um, and then the notifications, just how often do you want to receive notifications while there's new videos being created. Um, and then there are lots of different, here's video and cover image effects, so students can add filters, stickers, etc. to their video and cover images. Um, what I like about this is, especially like emojis, some kids don't like to see their face, but they don't mind hearing their voice. So maybe they want to put maybe they want to put an emoji over the top of their face. That I'm fine with that. There is a what I like about Flipgrid now is there is a mic only option as well. So you don't need to have the actual video. So when you're creating your video, you don't necessarily need to show your face if you don't want to. So, which I don't blame you. I'm kind of like that. So, um, there's attach link, the ability to like videos. Um, you can give them the ability to download their video, allow them to edit it. I like to give them that option to be able to edit it. Um, gives them a view count of how many people have viewed their video, and then allow students to add sticky notes while they are recording as well. So um, I'm going to go ahead and cancel because I'm not creating a topic right now. But once you create a topic, that's when you can go in now and so let me click on this topic. This is the topic that you're going to be doing here in a little bit on the life science unit inventory. And if I come here to this action button, it gives me some choices of things that I can do. And one of the things that I can do is I can add it to a group. So we could add to a group, and we only have one group here, and she's already got that. So you can see that that's the area where we could add that group. All right. Here's the images that have been downloaded. Um, and these are the images that I want you to do the I see, I think, I wonder statement for, which we'll be getting into that in a little bit as well. So um, most of the, oh, I wanted to go over how you record a response as well. So um, you will have a button that looks like this where you can say record a response. And when I record this response, there I am. Hi. So what you can do is there's different options. This is the button, the record button, basically. Here's the effects button, and we've got different filters that we can use. Um, there's you can add any type of text that you might want into um, here. Okay. Um, you can draw on here as well. Okay. Um, you can also add a board so that you can draw on the board. Um, you can add photos, which, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped stickers. You've got stickers here. And this is where I was talking about, um, if you don't like to see your face, you could grab this guy, put it right over the top of it, and now make it so that this guy's talking and you don't need to show off your face to everybody. So um, a lot of students like to do this. So, and then there's also an option to make a little frame that goes around the outside of your video. For the options, you can actually upload a video if you would like. You can do mic only so that, again, if you don't want video being shown, that can be done. You can also do mirroring video. You can mute the mic as well. And you can record screen. So kind of like Screencastify, you can record the screen. The only problem, this does not show up on an iPad. So it doesn't work for an iPad. For them to record the screen on an iPad, you would have to have them actually record a screen and then upload the clip. So, all right. So let's go. That's just kind of a quick tour there of Flipgrid and how to use it. Fairly simple to do. So let's do a unit inventory using Flipgrid. Okay. If you need access to it, you can access it right here with either a QR code or this link, or you can type this link in however you want to do it. But here's kind of the criteria of how we're going to do this. You are going to have 20 minutes to complete the Flipgrid activity on your own. And in order to complete it, you will need to mute your microphone and turn off your camera to give Flipgrid access. I'm going to show you that here in a second so that you know how to do that. Because what happens is otherwise you're on a Zoom call, you can't access it. And I know that we're asynchronous right now, those of you. So this would be more for my synchronous session, or if you're using it within Zoom, you cannot be on Zoom and do a Flipgrid at the same time unless you, on the Zoom, you mute your microphone and you turn off your camera. So you're going to need to do that in order to gain access to Flipgrid on Zoom. So when the 20 minutes are up in the synchronous session, I'm going to ask for a volunteer to let us watch the video. And then I will be in the Zoom in case you are having trouble. And again, that's for the synchronous session. So those of you asynchronous, you are going to go ahead right now and go to this and complete this Flipgrid. Okay, you're going to record your response right here. And the directions, I think, are fairly clear. You're going to view the images attached below. So there's 5 images here. You're going to think of strong academic language to describe the images. You're going to create one video using the sentence stem I see, I think, I wonder for each image below. So let me explain that. I just want you to make one video, and I want you to try to get through all 5 images. And I want you to do an I see, I think, I wonder. And in case you need the thinking prompt there, I added a link to that template that we looked at earlier. So if you are using a laptop, there's a video explaining how to insert these images into your Flipgrid with a laptop or Chromebook. And then if you're using an iPad, there's a video that you can view here if you're going to insert the images with an iPad. Okay. Now, I would also in that 20 minutes time, I would like for you to reply to at least one video. And I'd like it to be a video comment, but if you want to just type it out, you're welcome to. But I want you to really I want you to practice using the video feature so that when your students are using it, you are doing that as well. Okay. So I'd like you to go ahead now and take 20 minutes to create a video from the Life Science Unit Inventory. So let's take a look at some examples of this Flipgrid video. And here is a student who, let me move that. Here's a student who responded to, the way that I had this group do it was they did it through the share screen on Flipgrid. And I decided to kind of change this up after because, again, people with iPads didn't have the same opportunity to record their screen. So that's why I uploaded the images for this other one. But I just shared a Google slide with them, and they were talking over that slide doing their See, Think, Wonder statement. So here's a student that created their See, Think, Wonder. Why don't you take a listen?
Okay, so I see a monkey with a rock. I think this little guy right there is a bug. And I wonder if the monkey lifted up the rock so the bug could get on the rock, or if it's trying to kill the bug with the rock. Okay, so I see a seal and a stick, a long white stick, and some ropes. And I think they're trying to capture the seal. And I wonder if these are other types of animals or if these are just ropes. Okay, so I see a bunch of animals, and I think that this water is their watering hole. And I wonder if they drink out of it or they wash in it, like take a shower. Then
So what I would do from here is I would take and have a discussion, have a class discussion, showing some of these videos and having a class discussion about what are the main words that I was trying to get across. So, for instance, this picture showed the monkey, and this monkey is using a tool, and he thought it was a bug, which is fine. It's actually um, a nut, and these monkeys go through an entire process of drying these nuts out over days, and then putting them onto this other rock that's not going to break, and they find like the perfect rock to smash this nut open, and then they eat it. So what I would do here is, start to have that discussion. This can spark a discussion about, he said he was using this thing. So what do we call that when you're using this like thing? And, as a class, someone might come up with, oh, well, it's a tool, right? And so, we might even say, here that this was a tool. Okay. And in order for an animal to use a tool, I might even start this conversation where, can you just pick up something and know exactly how to use it as soon as you pick it up? Well, no, it's you've got to kind of figure out how to use this. So um, this might be where you try to get them through questioning to they had to learn how to use this tool. And this is a learned behavior. Okay. Um, Oops. All right. So another thing that I really like about this virtual word wall is I could take this and I could insert a link to that video, um, especially if that was just about and we could edit this and we could link it to this video. We could come down here to download the video. Okay, and what I like about it is you can save it straight to Google Drive. So we can download this video also right here, or you can do it in Google Drive. And then you can insert a link to that video where he talked about how this monkey was doing these things, and that kind of relates then to the learned behavior of the monkey. Okay. So this physical properties part that's up here, you don't have to have that in there. So you could have 2 columns worth of unit inventories, and you could also, create multiple pages for this so that the unit inventory, you have more places to put it for your virtual word wall. So this is very easy to modify as needed for it. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea of the way that you can use something like Flipgrid to get students thinking and getting it recorded somewhere. Many years ago when I was doing unit inventories, we would do them, but it was very difficult. Again, it was always that like one kid that was speaking up all the time. This student that was sharing his video, he was a fairly shy student for the most part in class, and but you could see here where we got to hear his thinking. We got to see what his prior knowledge was of some of these different images that we saw that are going to relate to the upcoming unit. Um, one of the things I really like about this is doing the unit inventory. What's interesting is sometimes an image will come up in the unit itself, and they'll relate back to that image from when they first saw it on the unit inventory, and they're like, "Oh, like that's why you were showing us the monkey with the rock and hitting the walnut or whatever." Um, so go ahead and do your final reflection here. Um, and you're just going to give me 3 words of how would you describe Flipgrid in only 3 words, okay? And you can be honest. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But just however you would describe Flipgrid, only 3 words. This is a great way, another great way to activate prior knowledge too, like, is the whole 3-word thing. When you first introduce a topic or something, you could say something like that. Describe something in 3 words. Or sometimes I give my students something like 5 words. A lot of times I have them define in a 5 words. They have to define something or something. But the 3 words, I like it because it's short, and it generates some thought from them. So, all right. So this is this is a link here to our Northside Academic Tech site. This is a great site for you to access some of our previous sessions that we've had, from the summer summit to the winter summit, and then even like talking about Schoology assessments and Schoology apps. There's different sessions that you can actually go in here, and we're going to be also adding the spring summit to it as well. So these were all different sessions that tech coaches did for the last summit, which was our winter summit. And I just want to remind you to please, if you need anything, reach out to a tech coach for support. We are here to help you. Please, please, please reach out to us. My hope is that you have one takeaway that you can use. Again, please reach out to me or your tech coach with any questions that you may have. Here's the evaluation link, and for the asynchronous, I'll be sharing that for you either through a form or a slide. So, and then here's my information to email me or Mr. Alderete. And guys, thank you so much for everything that you've been doing in the classroom this year. I know it's been a challenging year, and I really appreciate teachers even more. Even I still think of myself as a teacher, but I just appreciate everything that you guys have been doing in the classroom. So I added some Flipgrid resources here that you're welcome to take a look at. Just some of the most up-to-date stuff that I could find. Ditch That Textbook and We Are Teachers, 2 great resources to use, not just for Flipgrid, but for lots of different reasons too, other reasons as well. Whoops. And this gentleman here, I need to switch that. So these are all different videos that you can use. This is just a quick Flipgrid video that has to do specifically with educators. This is more with students. I think it's just a couple minutes. And then this is someone who really kind of walks you through some more steps of how to use Flipgrid. And this guy does really good videos for the new EdTech classroom as well. So these are some articles about activating prior knowledge, and then my credits. So I want to thank you so much. I really appreciate all you guys do.